Hello and welcome back to Penny Plays, where today I'm going to be looking at the vintage board game Scoop from Waddingtons Games. Now this was a recent charity shop find. I did splash out a little bit more than I usually do, but that's because I've been looking for this game for absolutely ages. Now this here isn't the version I remember from childhood. This is actually, I think, a 1950s Waddingtons version of the game. The version that I remember, I'll put a picture of here, was different in that it had a red telephone, and that is the thing I remember about the game Scoop, is the red telephone. I remember playing it with my parents and my sister, and I always just remember the red phone. I keep looking out for it in charity shops. You can buy plenty on eBay, but the thrill's in the chase, isn't it? Can't find the red phone version. But spotted this, realised it was the same game, got excited, and it came home with me. So this is Scoop. Again, Waddingtons back then were always going on about how they made Monopoly. That was their claim to fame, so that's what they're doing here. But the first thing I wanted to do was wonder out how they've done the phone, and the phone's the big thing. I should say Scoop is a game about publishing a newspaper front page, hence Scoop. Journalists get a scoop, don't they? And that's what you're effectively doing in the game of Scoop. The winner isn't actually the first player to do their front page, it's how much their front page is worth. But I'll come back to that in a minute. This is what you want to know about, the phone. How utterly fantastically vintage is that telephone? And what this is when you've got stories, you have to go to your editor and make sure the editor's happy for you to place the story or not. And so you use the phone to do it. And the way this works is there's different things up here, different things you're looking for to come up on the phone. So 3 stars, congratulations, your story given 3-star status. That's quite a prestigious thing in this game. Extra, your story excellent, warrants special edition, receive £200 from each player. Press, at your discretion, you can instruct every paper to go to press and count up. That's like finishing the game. Sind, or short for syndicated, so story syndicated, receive bonus of £500 from each newspaper. OK, your story's been passed for publication. Scrap it, doesn't like it. Across, story is libelous and cannot use it. And then 3 to the side exclamation marks is no good, editor wants to see you. But the interesting thing is the way this phone works. So there's different phone numbers written around here, and you move this handle round to the number you want. So say you want, right, start here at the side. So you go to whatever number you want. So say you want 581, and then you go back to here, and it says press. If you wanted, say, number 229 this time, go to 229, go back, OK. It's wonderful. As I say, the later, which I think must have been 1980s version, had a red plastic phone which you used. I'm guessing the mechanism was very, very similar, but that's my favourite bit of the whole game. But let's look at the rest of the game. It's not just about the phone, as excited as I am. So in here I have, interestingly, 2 copies of the instructions. I'm not quite sure why. There are no dates on these, but I think 1950s. That's what I'm led to believe. You then have the newspapers in here. Now, these I remember being a little bit different in the version I had before. These are the newspaper front pages. So it looks a bit like this. And then, I don't remember these fold-out bits from the 80s version. You've got this as well. So for each paper, you've got the name of the paper across the top. And then you've got space for stories. You've got a general story, a crime story, adverts. Same on that side. A triple star story, a star story, and a star story. Okay. And here you have type form in abeyance and cashier's office. Those are the bits I don't remember from previous versions of the game, so I'll come to those quickly in a moment. So that's your newspaper, and this is a game for 2 to 4 players, so you have 4 different newspapers. So that was the Times. You also here have the Daily Telegraph, the Daily Express, and also the Daily Mail. That's your newspapers, all the same. And the way the game works, and I'm not going to go through every rule that there is here, is you have Scoop cards. So these are cards where each player gets a certain number at the start of the game. They also get money at the start of the game, which is in the form, excuse the slightly perished rubber band on it. This is your money here, and these are £100 cheques. It's the Fleet Street checkbook. So that's your money there. And with these Scoop cards, you have a number of cards to start with, and you need these cards to be able to purchase a story. And the way this works, you purchase a story or an advert. So for instance, you then have cards like these. So these are the advert cards. These are the story cards. We've also got some crime stories. and some triple star stories as well, and some smaller star stories. And each of these on the back has a price or a cost. And these vary depending on the story. And also you don't always know which one you're going to get, because I think these are placed with the prices down when they're on the table. So you have to collect things to be able to cash in for your story, and you collect these scoop cards. And the way it works is that on these newspaper front pages, you see here, for this general story, it tells you you need a general reporter, a photographer, and a telephone card. So you need 3 cards for each story, and that's exactly what these are here. So you've got like a crime reporter card, you've got a photographer card, and for instance a telephone card. And that also has got the telephone number on that you're going to dial to work out whether or not your story goes to press or not. There's other cards in here. There's a scoop card, which means you can steal someone else's story or something like that. What else is there? There's star reporter cards, general reporter cards, artist card, advertiser's approval cards as well. So those cards are shuffled, certain number for each player at the start of the game, and then you can pick up or buy more cards as you go through the game, with the aim of populating your front page. One side here, the cashier's office, is where you put your money, and on here there's a rule about how you can have a maximum of 7 cards, but you can only ever have 3 cards in your hand hidden at any one time. You can put cards in abeyance down here, which means other players can see your cards, and there's a chance that other players can take your cards during the game as well if they see something that they want or need to get the story they want to publish. And the game goes on basically until someone has filled up their front page. When they've done that, they shout something like "go to press," I think it is, and at that point the person who shouts that, so who finishes first, gets extra money. But then everyone counts up the value of the stories that they've placed on their front page. So for instance, if I place this story here, I should add they're all fictitious stories. 2-ton statues midnight move on. So if I had this here, and this was one of my general stories, yeah, at the end of the game I'd have to look and see how much it's worth, and that's just £100. Whereas if I had the second one there, which is factory chimney had £50,000 parcel inside, that one is actually worth £200. So they're all worth different amounts. The person who's got the most money at the end of the game is the winner. And that's basically it. As I say, the bit about in abeyance I don't remember at all. Maybe I've just passed that, you know, blocked that from my memory or something. But that is basically the game Scoop, and that's how you play it. Now, I'd love to get my hands on a more modern version to see if the rules have changed at all, see how things have been updated, maybe compare some of the adverts and the news stories as well. I know from the different versions of Careers, for instance, things did get updated over time. And with this being a 1950s version, I do wonder just how different the 1980s version was. You know, obviously we had the tabloid papers in a very different way there, so was it even different newspaper mastheads that were used in the game, or different stories? Would be really interesting to see. So I'm now on the lookout for that later version. But that was my quick look at Scoop. That was Penny Plays Scoop, so the 1950s version of the game. Now I just need to go and teach it to the kids and hope that I can go to press first. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you want to click like and subscribe down below, then you'll see more videos from Penny Plays, which is board games, toys, vintage games, but also some of the other video content that I produce about some of the crafting I do, or the vintage books or other vintage things that I find. So thanks very much for watching. I'll put some links down below to some of the other vintage board game reviews that I've done here, and hopefully see you soon. Bye!